Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first ever video podcast of the whole 115 yards. My name is Freya. You've probably heard my voice quite a lot, but maybe not seen my face too much. Lindsay will be joining us, and we will be doing our usual pod, but I have a very special guest with me today. So, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us kind of who you are, why you're here, and why we're going to have a chat today?
Okay, so hello everybody. My name is Camilla. I have a YouTube channel and also an Instagram page. And I think that Freya asked me to join her today because she wanted me to tell about my last weekend in London when I was visiting the Emirates Stadium just before the Arsenal game versus Liverpool. And since I was there, I also went to see Stamford Bridge. So I think this is pretty much cross-culture Italy versus England thing or something.
Exactly. Yeah, perfect introduction. And of course, wearing your Arsenal shirts to really fit the occasion as well. I didn't think about doing that, but I did bring mine to kind of show along with my Lena Hurtig shirt that I will be forever proud that I own. So thank you very much for joining us today. What we've been trying to do is the whole 115 yards is kind of reach out across different countries, different communities, different clubs, because although we are primarily focused on Aston Villa, we have favourite players kind of all over the world. So it's brilliant to get your perspective. So again, thank you very much. So the big thing we've been talking about is, of course, the Arsenal game and the opening match at the Emirates. So before we get into that, I just kind of wanted to ask you, when did you first start watching the WSL and what kind of grabbed your attention?
This girl over here.
Oh yeah, good choice.
Yeah, it's pretty much you have to blame her for everything. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I was actually always curious about the WSL because from what I heard from the outside perspective, I always knew it's a very competitive championship and it's unpredictable almost until the end, which is kind of different from what we have in Italy. But maybe we can talk about that later. And yeah, and I don't know what happened exactly last summer during the World Cup. I started to dive into other countries more because I've actually always very, very much been focused with Italian football and Italian Serie A. Of course, I knew about other leagues, other national teams, but I actually never started to dive into them until last summer. So when I did that, I started to learn more and more and more about the story of the Lionesses and the Euros, which of course I watched. I watched the Euros last two summers ago, but I wasn't so involved emotionally as I started to become during last summer during the World Cup for some reason. I don't know, probably this girl on my back. I don't know.
Yeah, there was a different feeling, wasn't there, about the World Cup, and it just seemed like for the first time a lot more attention was on the World Cup and lots more people seemed to be involved. And we were seeing even kind of pubs and places like that were showing it on the big screens, which had never been done before. Absolutely. What a brilliant time to really focus in on women's football. And we were seeing as well, it's such a brilliant occasion for all these players that you might not get a chance to see normally. So, for example, kind of Leah Williamson, if you didn't, obviously not in the World Cup, but the Euros, she said in an interview, I don't go into hiding for a year and only come out to play for England. I'm playing at Arsenal. I'm down the road, come and see me. And I think that's what people didn't realise if they weren't really into women's football. So, yeah, it really showcased players that and new talents that you can follow. And that's why we have players that we follow all over the world, isn't it? We will talk about Martina Piemonte.
Oh, yeah, so I knew we would have, yeah.
Our shared love of her. So we touched on it briefly about your time at the Emirates. So kind of why was it important for you to come over and experience that, especially on opening weekend? What was the thoughts behind that?
You mean the stadium tour or the game or both?
Both, yeah, everything, yeah.
Well, now, as I mentioned, the stadium tour was because I have never been to that stadium before, and I have never been to an Arsenal women game before. So I just didn't want the two experiences to happen at the same time. I just wanted to split them. Otherwise, I think I would have been so overwhelmed with it. And yeah, of course, since I was there, I did this tour, which you can do different kind of stadium tours pretty much in every stadium. And the one I did at the Emirates, it was called Legend Tour, which you have an Arsenal legend to actually show you around and tell you stories about the stadium. And I got Perry Groves. So it was, yeah, I learned because honestly, I am not an Arsenal fan from my birth. I just became one. So, and it's more Arsenal women. It's not Arsenal in general. So I have to be honest. I studied who he was, but I was very impressed. But with learning that he was with Arsenal at the end of the 80s and beginning of the 90s. So it was at Anfield during the famous game when Arsenal won the Premier League. I think it was just called League One or something. I don't know. It wasn't called Premier League at the moment at the time, but yeah. So it was so nice to be around the stadium with a player that was part of the history of that club. And why it was so important to me to be at that game, it's because since I started, as I mentioned, diving into English football, and I fell in love with Leah Williamson, and I fell in love with the way that she's in love with Arsenal. So it was just yeah, and of course it happened that many of my favorite players have been playing with Arsenal, which of course Beth and Viv, who we can't wait to see back on the pitch. And this summer, one of my favorite players ever, who is Alessia Russo, just joined Arsenal. So it was just natural starting to follow WSL, which team I was going to be involved with.
Yeah, no, that's perfect, brilliant. And kind of what was the atmosphere like at the Emirates? Because I
Oh,
saw the videos that you posted, and
yeah.
even through the screen, it looked amazing. So what was it like being there?
It was unbelievable. Of course, I knew that um, women football was huge in England even before being there. But
Mm.
one thing is to know, and one thing is to be with other 55,000 people around you. I think I have been to men games who were not that much crowded. It was incredible. And I know that from what I learned, this has happened pretty fast in the last couple of years. And it wasn't like that before the Euros, I think. But compared to how it is in Italy, where we are really, really struggling to get to 1,000 people per game at times. I mean, the average is, I think, is under 1,000 for Serie A. Is something that mm, I've been talking about that with a lot of Italian football fans, and we are kind of sick of watching outside Italy to see these kind of things, and we've been wondering how long until we can have something like that. And of course, it's not just about winning the Euros. I think that was just the top of the iceberg, and that it wouldn't have happened if there wasn't uh, something really serious from the FA before that, which is not happening in Italy. So we're kind of looking to England as a model so much, so much. So it's unbelievable. But not just being around 50,000 people, 55,000 people. It's all the small things. In the stadium, you see the trophies that the women team had won displayed among the others that have been won by the male team. You see the giant pictures that was so impressive at Stamford Bridge. You see on both sides of the streets that leads to the stadium, there are some care, really bright, huge pictures of them. And when you get to the entrance of the stadium, you have one side and the other side all the trophies that Chelsea has won, by both male and female teams. So it's goosebumps to me. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I was going to mention that actually because I saw on Instagram when they put up both trophies of the men's and the women's, and quite a lot of men actually were quite angry about that, saying, "Well, this is the men's stadium. It's we should only have the men's trophies." And people are saying, "Well, no, it's a club stadium. It's the men's and the women's. Like, where if we really are trying to get equality, then it needs to be the club stadium and
Yeah.
the club efforts." And like you said, just seeing the trophy side by side is such a special moment for them to do that, and it shows kind of pride in their players as well, doesn't it? And what they're achieving and what they're doing. And you're also right, that can only happen with funding. So do you think that's a big thing in Italy, that kind of maybe funding's not there and kind of the intent behind it? What do you think's stopping it from growing?
I think that we kind of rushed into professionalism, which of course was a key factor, but it was done probably too fast, and it appears sometimes to have been some sort of political thing, just to show that you are doing it and that you care about women's sport, and that you have consideration of them. But it was just that. It wasn't a program that led to that, something that could give sustainability to the teams, especially the teams, because we still have teams in the Italian Serie A who are not connected to a male club. So that, of course, is some sort of a gray area that still hasn't been clarified, and it was just I could do a very, very, very long list of things that had to be done and were not done. But they can. I think that the thing is, yeah, there wasn't a program. There wasn't a development mentality around it. The youth. The youth teams, both nationally and club, the youth trophies. There isn't communication among the national team and the clubs, especially. I know that's not just that's not just to the federation. That's also a European and FIFA thing, but also the fixtures of the breaks for the national teams sometimes happened in a very delicate moment for the season for the club, so the players have all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because there needs to be a plan in place, doesn't there? Like you said, and there needs to be that infrastructure, and that can't happen overnight. It needs to take time. It needs to build, and I think that's luckily what we've seen the past couple of years with the FA. Because I remember going to an England game in 2017, which doesn't seem that long ago, but I think there was maybe 300 people there, and it was at a club ground, like a League One men's ground, and it was against Bosnia and Herzegovina. So again, quite a small nation. And yeah, there's about 300 of us. We had a lovely time, and it was great, and we were there supporting. But now to be selling out Wembley and stadiums like that is just crazy. And I think even for us, there are things in place that still need to happen, like the equal pay that the Lionesses are talking about and the bonuses. And so I think women's football in general still has such a long way to go. But when you've got England kind of leading the way, almost, it's definitely up there as one of the bigger leagues. And hopefully the Italian leagues and things like that can just kind of look to, right, what are the WSL doing? What do we need to do? What have they done? And hopefully from grassroots upwards, they can put something in place. So you're getting the best out of your players, because at the end of the day, if they can't play their best, then, you know, ultimately they need to represent their country, don't they, and come forward. And if we've seen the last couple of, if we quickly talk about the Italian national team, they're good, aren't they? They're at a good level, but there's so much more that needs to be developed. And do you think that's going to come from that?
Yes, well, first of
It's,
all, that's a very delicate topic because I and a lot of us think that we should have changed things after the Euros, because the the entire Euro adventure was a disaster, and we
yeah,
knew, everyone knew that the coach was about to finish her contract just after the World Cup, and that was one last year with someone who had lost the locker room already, and changes should have been done before, and no one from the federation, no one from the coaching staff took responsibility from the failure that happened in the Euros, and it was everything was on the players. They went to the microphone and say, yeah, we probably should have done better. Yeah, maybe we didn't approach the game as we should have, and that should not happen like that. They should be protected. So of course, they didn't feel like belonging. I know it's controversial because you are still wearing the shirt of your country, but there was an atmosphere in that team up to the World Cup, and including the World Cup, that was really, really, really bad. And we saw that when we changed the coach after the World Cup. And I will not talk about the fact that it took 1 month to announce the new coach, because that was really shameful. But we changed the coach, and I won't even talk about the coach because that's also another issue. But as soon as we changed the coach, and he didn't even have had time to be with the team, just the fact that there was someone else, there was new fresh air. You could see another team in the last couple of games of the Nations League. You could see an entire completely brand new team, and the players were pretty much almost the same. So I think it wasn't the players that was the problem.
Yeah, and it just shows you what that good management structure can do and the impact it has on the players. So yeah, okay. Well, yeah, we'll leave that there for now because we could talk about it. So let's get back onto happier and brighter topics. So for us in the UK, it can be really hard to find the Italian games actually broadcast kind of anywhere, and we know broadcasting rights kind of across the board are
same year.
So I was going to ask you, so actually you watching it yourself, like Italian football in Italy, is it still as awful, or
to watch it?
Yeah,
to
actually,
find
yes,
it recently changed, like starting from the last weekend. It was brought by the Zone, but it took forever to do that. And the first fixture day, how you call it, the first day, the first
opening fixture
weekend, open fixture. Yeah, it was not broadcasted anywhere because they were not able to find an agreement with any broadcaster during the summer. So it was just of course, I think it's the same in England. You have one game per how you call it, well, a weekend.
Game week. Weekend,
one game per weekend, which is broadcasted by the national television, so anyone can watch it. You don't have to pay any subscription. It's just there, and of course the federation picks it, and it's only one for every weekend. and we have only 10 teams in the league. So aside from that, there are 4 other games that were just broadcasted on the federation website because there was no other broadcaster anywhere, and they were not able to sell the right package because they were demanding too much. But I don't know what happened. I don't know how much DAZN have been paying. I don't know if they paid the required price, but at some point something was unlocked, and so now we are able to watch all the games. And I don't know about international rights, though, to be honest.
No, because I used to use a website called ATA Football, and they used to have a lot of the matches on. And then I saw that they were going into partnership with DAZN.
Yeah.
And it seemed like for a long time, nothing was really coming up, and then nothing was on the schedule. And then I looked, because I watch a lot of Liga F as well. Some of them are on their YouTube for free. And then others, I went to watch the Atletico Madrid one this morning, but that was on their paid subscription. I was like, okay, right. So I need to, find a balance with what it is, because we've also got the FA player. And is that how you watch a lot of the WSL games? FA.
Yes, FA players, and I recently discovered that I think the same games that are not on the UK FA player and are broadcasted with, I don't know, Sky UK or something, are the same ones that are on DAZN Italy. So if they are not on the FA player, I could watch them on DAZN Italy.
Okay, because again, it says it's meant to be the home of the WSL and the Women's Championship. But for example, today there's only one match, Sheffield United with London City Lionesses, and that's not being broadcast. It's one game, and you think that should be the one of the day. But yeah, you're right. Tomorrow there's some on BBC One, BBC Two, and then some others are on Sky Sports being broadcast. But then it's again alienating people that don't pay for Sky, and then it's hard because you want the game to grow, and you want as much money to be coming in as the men's broadcasting, which we're a long way off that yet. But then you're also alienating new fans to be able to grow the fan base. So it's a tough decision, isn't it? Which ones to broadcast, which ones that we've got to pay for. But fingers crossed, everyone can sort themselves out broadcasting wise, and we can all just watch what we want to watch. That'd be perfect. So getting a bit political there, weren't we? Getting a bit serious, right? Let's get back to some players that I know we've talked about for quite a long time. We should probably say how we met, actually. So we were kind of not randomly selected, but we both saw. Did you see the tweet that the F Media did wanting collaborators?
Yeah.
And so if you haven't heard of the F Media, please go check it out. There's a lot of brilliant bloggers that write articles for them, us two included. And so we kind of joined this big group chat, and I think we were the couple of noisy ones that and we thought, okay, we can have a chat now, so have a private chat. And I've been in pretty much constant contact since, haven't we?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. At some point, we were just discussing among each other about stuff, and so we were like, oh, maybe we don't have to bombarding with notifications everyone else. So
we'll take this elsewhere.
But I think what I find to be a common area with you is both the interest towards what's happening outside our country.
Yes.
And the whole concept around being a supporter, which is not exclusive. So I know it's the same for you with Villa. You are a Villa fan, but you also have a lot of players that you like around, and you don't have this kind of I don't know how to say it in English. In Italian, we say it's you support against one thing. You like banter or something like that.
Yeah, because it's very much like a tribe, like a tribal
Yeah,
mentality kind of thing. Yeah, and
yeah.
I think we'll discuss it in a moment. But kind of the match last night, Man United
Yes.
Arsenal, that was a really, I don't want to say good example, bad example, of kind of how some supporters are reacting and taking it a bit too far. But yeah, I think,
Yeah,
like I said, we are both very similar in the fact that we have our club that we lean towards, but would never wish anyone ill. Like we'd
yeah,
never, we have players that we support that aren't our teams. And I think for me as well, um, there are a couple of players that I would get that team shirt with their name on because I support them as a player. So that might not be my club, but I want to support them. And I've seen quite a lot of people say the same thing, but I've also seen people say, but you can't do that because that's not football and that's not. And it's like, yeah,
who says that? To me, that other kind of thing is not football. Honestly, this is football.
yeah, it's supporting, and again, it's that women's game of everyone is included here, everyone is welcome, and we support everyone, because it's a bit like, and again we'll get onto it, but when Jordan Nobbs came from Arsenal to Villa, the Arsenal fans wouldn't dream of booing Jordan when she got the ball for Villa when they were playing against each other. And it's just you don't do that. You kind of support them and you cheer for them and you want the best for them, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
So let's talk about, while we're on the topic, the match
Yeah.
last night. So for those of you who, everyone does probably know that's listening to this, but Man United hosted Arsenal at Lee Sports Village. And the one thing everyone was talking about was Alessia Russo returning back to her old team. So lots of people talking about how will she be welcomed, how will she be received. And there were two interviews. I don't know if you saw, Leah Galton said, we'll welcome her back, we'll give her a great reception, hope everyone else does too. And Ella Toon said, I've told her I'm not going to be her friend for 90 minutes. So
Well, that's of course
yeah,
that's the least you can expect. But yeah,
exactly. So in the lead up to it, because we were both very excited for the match, how did you feel the supporters were going to act, if anything, compared to how they
honestly,
did react? Kind of.
yeah, no, honestly, from what I heard, because I have been, noising around in the supporter groups or something. So I had rumors about this sort of welcoming, if you want to call it like that, that they were going to give to Lassie, but it was some way they crossed a line that I expected to be maybe once, twice in the beginning and then stop, just not for the entire 90 minutes. It was so annoying. It was so hideous. I don't know. It was way too much. And I was so proud of Arsenal supporters that were singing louder than them every single time. It was, I honestly don't get it. I mean, I don't even get it if the player has done something to deserve that, which Leslie didn't. But I don't even get it in that. But I mean, I can understand. I wouldn't do it, but I could understand. But what did she do aside from switching shirt?
Well, that's the thing,
She
because we know that's the name of the game. Some people do stick with their team their whole lives, absolutely fine, but most people will at some point move teams, and that's fine. That's okay. They're
Yeah,
going to push and progress and develop, and they need that change, and that's fine. And I think 99% of fans got that. But like we were discussing, there's a couple of people who thought kind of her leaving message wasn't as heartfelt as it could have been, and it didn't reflect how the club have supported her. And then there was comments about, well, did she just go for the money? Did she just go for Champions League? Which United were already in Champions League anyway, so that didn't make any sense. And it's kind of, well, anything that happened behind the scenes, we don't know. We don't know the facts. So people are speculating. And Lindsay said, when I was talking to her about it, that the media are making it worse because they're bringing attention to it and they're making it bigger and making it very dramatic, when actually it didn't need to be. So it was built up to this moment.
I think that one of the main issue is that we are now that, of course, the women game is becoming big. We are sort of getting all the bad and toxic stuff related to men game, and this is one of it, and media included. And of course, you can't prevent that from happening at all, because if something becomes big, of course, you have to take the good and the bad of it. And this is the bad, but you just can't stop it. But you can do something to not consider it normal anymore. You know, because it happens, of course, when you are at the game around 50,000 people, it happens that there is someone who is not saying very nice thing to the player, but you just point them, you just tell them, dude, not good. You just do something about it. The only thing we can do is to learn from all the bad and toxic side of the men game, not to replicate them, but to try to bring more sensitiveness to the fans in general. Maybe it can be the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we've said a couple of times on previous podcasts, the women's game has never been that. It's never had hate. It's never had, vile things. Yeah, you've had the odd person kind of getting a bit sweary and a bit, but the majority of people are very supportive and inclusive. So to have that coming over, and like you said, I was expecting a couple of boos, maybe first couple of touches, but when it was getting right to the end of the match and they were still doing it, I thought, you've made your point. Like, it's not going to get any worse, any better. Like, she's gone. It's done. Like, why?
Yeah,
get
over it.
Yeah, get over it. Yeah, why are we still going on about it? And I thought she did phenomenally well to still press as hard as she did. And I would have loved that goal to have gone in.
Don't tell me.
That was so close. It was so close to going in. And I think that United being disappointed with not winning against Arsenal, I think that shows not only how far they've come, but also that Arsenal maybe are still missing their key players. Which
we're going into that, aren't we?
we are now. Jonas has signed a new contract recently, so he's going to be with the team another couple of years. Happy Jonas is staying?
I like him from a human side of things. I really like the kindness that he shows in the way he speaks, and the sensitiveness that you can feel in his words. I am not sure about if he has a clue of what to do with the team on the pitch, but I think it's too early to say, because we have a lot of new players, and the thing is that I have been reflecting about it, and I think that there is some weird element in the roster of the players, in terms of what kind of team you can put down, because we only have one right back at the moment, and so you can't play a 4-line defense as a standard thing, because of course you don't have a change unless you switch McCabe on that side. But then it's weird. I think the thing is that knowing that you have so many key players that are going to come back eventually in the middle of the season, it's weird in terms of how you program the season, also on a tactical level, because you have, of course, to find a solution now. You can't just think when Leah comes back in January or February or whenever, but of course you have to have in the back of your mind the fact that you have that player and that she is coming back eventually. So if you have something that works now, then what when she comes back? And the same thing is for Bet, for Viv, for Vian Roter, for everyone who is
Everyone else. Yeah.
yeah, of course I think it's a challenge for Jonas now to be able to find a flexible system that allows us to be competitive now, but can also be adjustable to the players that are going to come back when they come back without having to start over again. And of course, I think that the most important part of this topic is Beth, because she is just about to come back. We don't know when exactly, but I think it's a matter of days at the moment.
She's very close, isn't she? Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm back.
and she's a player that, of course, can change the entire way a team plays.
Oh yeah.
So
it's an exciting time to look into the future as an Arsenal player, because then when you look at the whole squad that you've got, that's incredible. Like on paper, it's in. But then you look at, okay, well, who have we got now? Who can we use? And it's like you said, it's getting players to maybe be in roles that they're not necessarily comfortable in, but it's not their primary position, and who can they use to the best of their ability. Like when Leah was playing in midfield when Kim Little was out, and it's like, wait, you can kind of do the job, Leah, but we prefer you back there. So yeah, it's still very much for Jonas to decide, okay, well, who is my starting 11? Because he said something interesting, didn't he, in his post-match? I think it was his post-match, when he said, we presented the bench first, and then the superstars come on. And you think, well, but you're against Man United. Like, maybe do that, no offence to the lower teams like Leicester, Bristol, that kind of thing. But Man United, you kind of come out full force. So what did you think of him saying that?
I didn't read that, but I don't know. I think when I saw the starting 11, I think that, well, of course, it was shocking to see both McCabe and Ford on the bench, but I thought that maybe he was thinking about them possibly having a more powerful impact on the game, not from the beginning, but maybe when Manu was more tired, and possibly, I don't know, that I thought that was the only reason, because otherwise...
Yeah, because otherwise, why wouldn't you start them? Like, what?
Yeah.
Of course, it could still be fatigue from World Cup, from from all of that. It could be emotional fatigue from getting knocked out of Champions League. It could be, it could be a plethora of things, couldn't it?
Yeah.
So we did have a little think about who he has available and who would be kind of the perfect starting 11 with who's available. So not injuries, we're pretending they don't exist for now. So for their next match, what did your lineup look like? And then I'll tell you what I've got.
I don't like the three line in the defense, but at the moment, as I was telling you, I think it's the only way to go. So probably Ilestead, BT, and Catley.
Okay.
And I would like to see Cooney Cross starting instead of Lito, to be honest. I would be very curious to see what she does over there. And I would put Leah Valti and Monom on the sides, and then McCabe on one side and Ford on the other. And I would like to see again Blackstenius and Russo as in the beginning, as it was in the beginning with Manu.
Yeah, because Stina Blackstenius has had a bit of a rough time, hasn't she? Kind of with, again, people doubting her, not performing. Where does that come into it? Was she part of a swap deal with Alessia that didn't go through before? Would that have knocked her confidence? But I am so happy she got that goal to remind people, I'm here, like I'm part of this team, and I'm worth it. So yeah, I'm really glad she got that. How about goalkeepers? Just a quick one. So we've got Zinsberger and D'Angelo.
From what I saw, I think I like Manu a little bit better. But to be honest, I'm not crazy with both of them. Aside from that, we say we have to talk about the players that we have. So with the players that we have, the thing is that I don't know what's with Arsenal, both men and women team, and this goalkeeper thing. I don't know because I can. I mean, I like that the second goalkeeper has minutes during the season. I like that. I don't like that a second goalkeeper is just there to be on the bench and you always put the same as in the starting 11. But I think this is too much. I think this just takes confidence away from them. And in a moment when, of course, we are also struggling with our defense and we have new players and there is no chemistry among the defenser, I think that at least the keeper should be a continuity factor, at least up to a certain point of the season. I think it's not the time now to have this switching between the keepers, but this is something that has always been interesting to me, when they do that, because I always think about how could they feel, what message does this give to them and to the defender.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the images of Zinsberger last night, she did have her arm around Sabs D'Angelo and she was really supportive. And that was a lovely moment that Zinsberger didn't feel, well, outwardly didn't feel kind of hard done by or replaced. And I suppose if you have got a strong pairing like at Chelsea, when you've got Anne-Katrin Berger and Shira Musovic, they work really well together and they're both top quality goalkeepers. But it just begs the question of, Hannah Hampton is now third choice goalkeeper at Chelsea on the bench when she could have gone out on, but that's different story. But yeah, I think Arsenal, for where they are, they need a world-class goalie to get there. And I really like Zinsberger, I really do. I don't think D'Angelo's there yet. Again, she's good. But when you look at Van Domselaar and kind of Mary Earps, it's kind of they need to step up again, I think. And again, that just shows the quality of the game, that what was good is now looking, it's a bit, it's a few holes in that.
What's your starting 11? You didn't tell me.
Well, I'm so glad you asked. So I've got... now, I flip-flop between, do I like Lotte Wubben-Moy or not? Because sometimes she's not as consistent as she could be, which is really frustrating because when she's good, she's very good. But then we are all human, we make mistakes, it happens. So I've put my faith in her. So I've gone Wubben-Moy, Jen Beattie, Steph Catley. I've got Maritz and McCabe just push forward on the wings. So technically I've got a 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got a 5 technically at the back.
Okay.
5. I'm just checking I've done my maths. Hang on. 9, 10, 11. Right, that should be fine. Then I've got Leon Hudson-Marnham, Walty and Little in the middle. I still rate Kim Little.
Yeah,
I think
you put your faith in her, okay.
Put my faith in her. And then I've got Ford and Russo up front.
For the Russo up front. Okay.
Yeah. However, I've also got Ilstedt, Hertig, and Kuhl as super subs.
Mm-hmm.
So come on. Because
I actually thought you were going to put her in the starting 11. So
I know. I feel quite disappointed in myself that I didn't actually. Because I think, again, she's got so much potential. But the way Jonas is playing her, because you said at the Emirates when she came on, she made a difference, didn't she?
Yeah.
So I think maybe at the minute, maybe that's her role in that team to come on and make an impact. Would you say?
Yeah, at the moment, yeah. I in general, I think that she was very, very. She came back as a new player from the World Cup. I think that the penalty against USA was just mind blowing, and that's a boost of confidence, of course, for anyone. So I think she can do really well this season. I think so. But yeah, at the moment, I can see her being as a substitute.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, she has come back as a new player, and it was, again, she was being selected for her national team, and everything was there, just the actual time on the pitch wasn't, and it was just that consistency. And anyone who knows us from the beginning, I always go on about her being having lots of quality and lots of potential, and finally people are seeing it. And I remember tweeting during the Sweden versus USA game, going, Lena Hurtig's going to score and it's going to be wonderful. And then she gets that penalty. And I was like, yes, it's come true. It's all good.
It was wonderful indeed.
It was. So I'm taking full credit for that, by the way. Not Lena. Not Destiny. I'll do that. And one more thing we were going to talk about. Who do we think are going to be in the top spots in the league by Christmas? So these first couple of matches, we've got a couple of Continental Cup games as well going on. So who do we think first, second, third by Christmas?
Okay, by Christmas, I think because Arsenal has this suffering DNA, I think maybe by Christmas we could be in second, third position, not first. Of course, we're also having a tough start, so that's fair enough. Second or third, not first. Probably first position, I would say Chelsea. Too predictable, but yeah, I mean, what else could I say? Yeah. And the other position, which is not Arsenal, I would say City, just because I don't hate any team, but I am so angry with Man United after yesterday, so I don't want them in the top three at all.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, good. Love that. Mine's, probably the same as you. I don't know if City or United are going to be battling for that third and fourth. Or even second, actually, because City, Jill Roard's come back, phenomenal player, opened a score sheet already. And I think City, even though they only did one transfer, one in, one out, compared to Arsenal, who bought the whole world, I think this is going to be City's year to finally come back, I think, because after their exodus of Lucy Bronze, Georgia Stanwyck, Kira Walsh, after they all left, they just looked like a shell of themselves. They couldn't really figure out who they were. But I think comeback season for City. I think they're going to be up there. Good. Okay. Well, we are very similarly aligned in that. And then final thing that we haven't talked about, the lovely two Italian players that are in our WSL. So
I was expecting that. Yeah,
we've got to talk about them. So from kind of, what was your? Did you have much of an opinion of them before they joined the WSL? Do they think they've grown into a reputation? I don't know. Kind of what's your view?
Well, I can speak for Yaya because of course Martina just joined Everton, and I can tell you the general perspective about that in Italy, not my personal. We sort of she just sort of went outside the radar when she went to Everton. And because not everyone watches WSL, of course. So a lot of people, when we saw her coming back to the national team, we just couldn't recognize her. But I think that was also an issue with the national team itself. It wasn't to Yaya. So we were very happy in general. Everyone who loves football and everyone who loves Piemonte and the two things, of course, often are aligned. Everyone was happy for this brand new start that she is about to have. And we are happy to know that they are together because they can be strength to each other.
Yes.
And especially for Martina to adapt, having Yaya there, who has been there for a couple of years, can be helpful. So we are looking to Everton with a special eye, of course, from Italy, and we were so happy to see that they came back to the national team with the new coach, and it was so unfair to leave them out, especially from what they've done during the season, especially Martina, of course, because I think we could also have benefit from having Yaya as well, but Martina was something big that she missed the World Cup because we just don't have another player like that. So was
yeah.
Yeah.
No, she's brilliant. There's only a couple of players that spring to mind when you talk about how physical a player is, and I love that she just completely bulldozes her way through in a match. And she's just like, doesn't care. She's like, no, I'm getting the ball, I'm going in. And just, she's so strong, but so much quality. And I saw a stat from the weekend that said the amount of shots on target, but not goals. And Martina was at the top. She had 6. So 6 shots, but just didn't quite get it. So the quality's there, the skill's there. We know that. And it's just leading up to that moment where she gets herself on the score sheet.
Yeah, and also the attitude intended in a good way, you know, the strength that she has, the fact that she fights over every ball. It's just not so many players. Yeah, you can't see that often.
Yeah. So yeah, I realised I didn't introduce them. I just said our 2 Italian players. So that's Aurora Galli and Martina Piemonte, for those of you who aren't too familiar. Could be a really obvious question. Why should she get called Yaya?
No one actually
or is it just
knows,
a thing?
but
No.
yeah, she just likes to call herself. Everyone calls. I think her family calls her like that as well.
Okay, that's right. So have I missed anything? Because it's Yaya. It's yeah.
Yeah. I think no one knows the actual reason around that. We just knew that she preferred to be called like that, and her family also calls her like that, and so everyone just calls her Yaya.
Oh, perfect. We'll keep that.
That's a nickname.
Yeah, no, I love it. And it's, like you said, them coming back into the national team as well, because for the World Cup, were they both invited to camp and then didn't get selected? Or was it just Martina?
Just Martina.
No, just Martina, yeah. Because I was saying to you, I had my shirt ready. I was like, yeah, Piemonte, right, come on. And then her name wasn't on the list, and I was fuming. Like, what?
Yeah.
But yeah, now she's back in the team. I can finally maybe put it on once we decide what number she is.
Yeah, exactly. There is this issue around the number that we still haven't figured.
Yeah. We'll get there eventually, though. Brilliant. Now I've come to the end of all of my questions. Is there anything else while you're here you want to discuss?
No, actually, I was interested in your perspective about the factors that allowed England not just to win the Euros, because that's of course that's a tournament and anything can happen during a tournament, but of course there is to be foundation for that to happen, and it was, if it was just random, of course, I don't think that we would have seen the development in terms of audience and supporters and whatever. So I would like to know from your inside perspective, what do you think that was done by England and by the FA before winning the Euros that allowed it to be such life changing?
What a great question. I think just kind of what we've touched on before, things started to develop and started to change, and we started to get females who'd maybe been in the game before as ex-players, ex-managers, kind of going up the ranks and being able to put plans into place and to talk about things, and to, like, Karen Carney being a massive influence with her report, and just kind of looking at, okay, we want the women's game to grow. We need this funding. We need to put this into place. We need to start in schools. And I think, yes, a big push came after the Euros for that. But I think a lot of money went into it beforehand, and it allowed. So the WSL, when that turned pro, I think that was really the start of it, because then people thought, okay, there's an audience here. There's quality. There's what can we do here to really make the most of it. And I think, I mean, people know more than me. So please, if you are watching this, come in the comments. What do you think the FA did? But yeah, I think a lot of it was a lot more money, a lot more funding, and people really standing up for women's football, being advocates for it, and just being allowed that chance, I think, and people seeing the worth that women's football can bring. And I think a lot of it is the team in place. So when we had Hope Powell, did all right. She was all right. Didn't like some players. When we had Herga Rees, we know for a fine fact she didn't like Beth Mead and left her out of the Olympic squad. And we all saw how that's gone. So I genuinely think it's the manager's got a big part to play, their team, their staff, and being able to. I think the beautiful thing about women's football is how much they connect with the fans as well. And because people feel like they know the players, they want to support them more because it feels like they're your friend. Like the amount of times we've said, "Oh, I just want to be your friend." Like, "Oh, I just want to be able to say, like, I'm proud of you," because you do so much and you perform so well. So yeah, I think a lot of it was investment. But it's been coming for a long time, and there's been a lot of years leading up to it. So yeah, I just think it was home tournament. It'd been all prepared for this moment, and I think just a lot of planning and infrastructure. And thankfully now we are seeing it going back to schools, grassroots, and it is building up from the bottom. But yeah, it's still going to take a long time for everything to be equal. But yeah, hopefully more professional contracts, more money in the game. Because, like you mentioned earlier as well, there's still a few teams that are either independent or they don't have any backing from the men's club. Which then, when you've got the likes of Chelsea and Arsenal compared to Bristol, Reading, London City, the gap is huge.
I find that it was difficult to go around those mental prejudice around it, because in Italy one main problem is that even if there is someone who is willing to put money or to put a project behind it, the general perception by the people is that women don't belong to football. Did you find anything like that as well?
I think in the beginning, I think there was a lot of that at the top, top things. But I think, especially the last 5 to 10 years-ish, there's been a shift in that dynamic. And I can't remember her name, it's escaped me, but the head of women's football at the FA, Baroness, no, name's gone. She really pioneered for it. And I think because we had so many people who believed in it and were able to kind of come together and have this mentality of we need more in women's football. But I think a lot of that is still at fan level, especially from the men's game. So whenever, because there's Sky Sports and they've got kind of Sky Sports WSL, like the Twitter feeds. And if the normal Sky Sports channel puts anything about the women's game, so many comments of no one cares, no one watches it, all of this. And it's, luckily they're not in charge. So hopefully they can just, be keyboard warriors over there. But yeah, I think a lot is changing. And when we've got people like Prince William being big advocates of the game and so openly as well, I think that's really helped kind of change perception. So yeah, we've definitely encountered a lot of that. But fingers crossed, it is getting much better now.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
And hopefully, and then I am pretty sure that we will keep looking at England as a model from now on, in general. As we have done, we will keep on doing that. I'm sure about that. I mean, from what I perceived when I was there, it was just something else. It was just something else. Just one small stupid thing that could appear to be stupid, maybe, but to me was not. When I was walking outside the tube and I saw the evening, the newspaper that they gave for free, it was the front page was about the WSL that was about to start again. And it was something mind-blowing to me. That was something that we can only dream about having. And when I sent a picture about it to my friends in Italy, everyone was just unbelievable.
See, that's a really recent thing as well, because again at the World Cup, when Lena scored that penalty, that was on the front page of one of the newspapers, and I was like, that's not even English football. That's not the Lionesses. That's a Swedish team against the USA. Like, so really, there's no kind of national viewpoint, kind of national interest, but it was on the front page, and I thought, right, okay, this is the change. This is a changing point and it's that visibility. So when we talked about the media getting involved earlier, the media can do so much good and make it obvious and, allow people into this beautiful world, but it can also make things a lot worse. So if it can just keep working for good, like you said, it's okay, this is the standard now. This is what it should be like. This should be normal. And one more thing I really like, how many people now have the women's players on the back of their shirts? Like, you've got Williamson. And it's become normal. Whereas I remember when I was little, I wanted my name on the back of a shirt because it was it's my shirt. I want my name on. I want to represent and things like that. So having the women's players now just as a normal thing is brilliant, and we hope that can be the norm in Italy.
Yeah, and it's not something that you have to give for granted, because this is also something that I've been talking about in the YouTube video that I have been recorded while I was in London, and I am still editing, so it's not out there yet. But, it will be. And spoiler alert: there will be this thing about the shirts, and the one of the reason, of course, she is one of my favorite players, and I love her, and I love Arsenal and everything. But one of the reasons why was such a huge emotion to me to buy this shirt and to wear it is because this is the actual shirt that she will wear it. Well, not the actual one, but identical to the one that she will wearing when she will be back on the beach this season. And it has the WSL badge.
All the patches,
Yeah, it has the actual font. It has everything that has the women t-shirt. In Italy, we don't have that. You don't have the Serie A patch. You can't have... Sometimes, I don't know if it's the same here, but in the same club, the shirts may be not completely identical for the men and the women team, because maybe there is a different sponsor, maybe something like that. you can't buy the women team shirt anywhere. It's just impossible. You have to buy the men's shirt and maybe put the name and the number of the player of the women team, but you don't have the badge. The sponsors are different, and that's something that it's so annoying. And it's the small things. I mean, how much could it cost to a club like Inter Milan to put a sponsor on a shirt and actually allow me to buy the t-shirt of my favorite player of Inter Milan women's team? How much would it cost to them? I think pretty much nothing compared to...
They wouldn't notice, would they? No.
But it would mean so much to me. It would mean so much to the fans. It would mean so much in terms of representation. And this is something that maybe is something that in England is given for granted, but trust me, it's not.
It's
such a huge thing.
And how will they ever know what demand is like if they don't give people a chance to do it? Like at the World Cup, we saw people wanting Mary Epps's goalkeeper shirt and other goalie shirts, and it wasn't available, was it? But no, with the patches, that I've only been aware of the last couple of seasons. That's, the WSL font, the patches, getting everything done properly. Because when I went to Barcelona to get a shirt, again, hardly any women's shirts. They'd run out of certain letters initially I couldn't get bronze on the back. Then I thought, okay, I'll have Aitana, because the second favourite player. They didn't have 4 because she's 14, so I couldn't get that. Finally tried 4 shops. 4 shops I tried in Barcelona. And so I had to get a men's shirt with the...
And they won the Champions League,
And they were the Champions League. So men's shirt, men's font, and men's patch, because they didn't have the women's. And that's Barcelona. And so there's a website called Foudies, amazing website, female run, female owned, primarily for the women's game. And I got a message off them when I posted a picture, and they said, "Where'd you get it?" I was like, "Barcelona." And they were like, "Well, we, next time we do the font, we do the patches, we do everything." So I think Foudies from now on is going to be my home for football shirts. Not too sure if they do the Italian ones. We'll have to have a look, and if not, we'll have to send them a message and say.
I don't think they do, because I've been looking into their website, not very deeply, but I know about it, and I just went through it very, very quickly. I think I didn't see any Italian team, but I would probably email them about it too. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, well, that can be our agenda from this meeting. We're going to go and we're going to make the Italian shirts more accessible. Perfect. Yeah. Right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been absolutely brilliant to finally get to talk to you. Because I feel like we've been talking for ages, but not properly. Do you want to give a little shout out? Where can people find you? Across sources?
This name that you can read here, it's on Instagram and on YouTube. Actually, the main part of my project is YouTube, but I've been focusing more on Instagram just because YouTube it's a slow process. It's more slow process. So Instagram is more an everyday thing, but when times goes by, YouTube will be the core of everything. And the video about my weekend in the UK will be up in a matter of days. So
perfect. Well, we'll definitely look forward to it. Can you just pronounce it for me, because I've been saying it one way in my head and it's definitely going to be wrong. So if you don't mind.
Is professione calciatrice.
Oh, I was so close. I was saying calciatrice. Okay. Calciatrice. No. Right. Okay. Close. Right. Well, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for watching and listening. And me and Lindsay will be back very, very soon. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.